Hey guys, Marisa at KitchenTableStamper.com. You're joining me in video 3 of 3 in our pick of the patch Stamp-A-Stack. If you missed video number 1 and 2, they're linked below. You'll want to start from the beginning of this series because these cards are a wonder recipe. It's One Sheet Wonder, number 23 Stamp-A-Stack. Well, what's a wonder recipe? It's a one sheet wonder diagram for 6x6 designer series paper. In video number 1, we chose 3 patterns of designer series paper, this buffalo check, the bats, and then the starry sky stripe. We cut them according to the wonder recipe number 23, modified just a little bit because I say about me, crafty girls do what they want. And we've made 4 thanks so much cards in video number 1 and 2 of this thanks so much card in video number 2. Now you'll notice one of the fun things about this Stamp-A-Stack, well, it thrills me anyway, is this is the same pieces, the same size pieces, the same designer series paper patterns, and the layout is vertical and horizontal. So really kind of a fun concept. We're moving towards teaching solutions, answering questions, providing you with tools that you can use at Kitchen Table Stamper, things that you can do again and again. And I think that those layouts are a really fun way to solve your, well, what kind of card should I make? How should it look? The third card in the set is You're the Pick of the Patch, and a little different because it uses those more square pieces. We've got class packets available while supplies last, kitchentablestamper.com/shop, and click on class packets using the filter in the right hand menu or down at the bottom if you're on a mobile device. The packet includes these adhesive back sparkle gems. I love these, not just for fall, but for any time. Really gorgeous, and I overlooked them in the annual catalog, but you'll get a half a pack. You'll get a third of a spool of copper clay ribbon, 5 yards of linen thread, and a quarter of a package of them Bones designer series paper. Really good fall designs like this buffalo check and this gorgeous houndstooth. Then look at all the fun Halloween designs. So you'll have lots to play with. I'm done with my cards, and that's what I have left. When you get class packets from Kitchen Table Stamper, we don't do embossing for you. We can't. It would be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cards, just more than we could even imagine. But I often like to emboss the entire card front. So after we cut our designer series paper in video number 1, we embossed the card fronts. And let's take a look at our class packet. We've got our card base, and we also cut our white, basic white cardstock to 4 by 5 1/4 for the liners inside. This packet has a basic white circle, 2 3/8. Our designer series papers, if you want to make just one of this card instead of the whole stack, these are 2 by 2 1/4. Them Bones designer series paper. We've got this cool like bracket. It's a swoopy square cut in half. We use the handmade tag punch and pumpkin pie card stock for that in case you're cutting your own. You can look for something suitable to substitute. I love the little pop of color that this brings, and it's a great way to use up cardstock scraps, and you can use these design elements again and again in your cards. Our sentiment is going to be stamped on smoky slate cardstock. If you're cutting your own packet, you'll want something that's about 3/4 by 2 3/8. It's this clipped corner rectangle from the Countryside Corners dies. Love that die set. And from Starry Sky, we have these little D enforcer from this tag set, tailor-made tags dies. We're gonna use that in, I think, a creative way. We've cut 14 inches of linen thread for each card, and we've cut 5 1/2 inches of copper clay ribbon for each card. Let's go ahead and get started just first by doing some stamping. The Pick of the Patch is a photopolymer stamp set. You've got lots of basic white cardstock in your packet, but you're gonna cut that into 1 1/2 inch strips and 1-inch strips to get the best use out of your cardstock with the pumpkin, or Pick of the Patch pumpkin builder punch. All right, let me show you what I'm talking about here. We're gonna do some Stampin' with copper clay, pumpkin pie, starry sky, crumb cake, and you're gonna need some old olive also. I have a few that are already stamped here for my leaves. So stamp a couple of leaves in old olive cardstock, or in old olive ink on a 1-inch strip of cardstock. Leave space in between, because what's going to happen is as you punch these leaves, you're going to make confetti out of the cardstock where the pumpkins punch no matter what, right? You can't stop those pumpkins from punching. And so internally we kind of call these builder punches, paper waster punches, because you can't necessarily control where the other shapes punch out. So what we can do though is plan for it. So we've stamped our 6 leaves on the strip and punch out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, space them out. And then in between, you're going to take your stem stamp and stamp the pumpkin stems. You're going to need 4, 2 for each card in between. And now you've got easy little handle and a perfect place to stamp and punch your stems. Check out the project sheet at kitchentablestamper.com. In the project sheet for the first design, we showed our half sheets of white cardstock cut into 1.5-inch strips with everything stamped that you need. All right, so we've got our 1.5-inch strip here. We're gonna stamp our big pumpkin in copper clay, and then we're going to stamp our little pumpkin in pumpkin pie. But the thing about this one is we have to, for the builder punch, turn it on its side. All right, so we're going to do those on their sides over here. Oh, pretty cool, huh? Now we need birds, and I've done this a couple of times, so let's just show you. We've got tuxedo black bird. We've colored the beak with a little bit of pumpkin pie marker, and then we've got a starry sky bird, and we colored the eye with a little bit of black Stampin' Right. We're going to cut these guys out and then piece them together to get a really cool multicolor bird. All right. The trick to this is to not cut anything that you don't need. So if you wanted to just do their little black bird, you could just fussy cut this guy out. But if you're doing like I am and you're gonna layer it, then don't cut anything you don't need to. So you don't need to cut any detail around the tail. You just need to pop out over here around the legs. And you just fussy cut the legs, leaving a little white border around them, just like the punch is going to leave a little white border around the pumpkins and left a little white border around the leaves. So you want consistency. Gonna do the beak with a little white border up over the head, and then you can just cut off the rest. I know that's kind of harsh, but don't need to do any more work there than you need. Then we're gonna cut the blue off of this guy, and all we need is the body. So you're gonna slice off the feet, slice off the beak, and then just cut a little white border around the blue body. We'll get a little liquid glue and piece these two together, and we'll have a little multicolor bird for our card. The glue goes right on the body, just a little dab. You don't need much. And then lay the blue body over. Now look, our birdie has a beak and feet again. This is so simple. We can do both of these pumpkins with the punch. I really do love this punch. I've called it a paper waster punch a couple of times, but that's no reflection on how awesome this product is. Just a little bit of planning ahead, taking into consideration how the punch is laid out, and you'll get some really great pumpkins, leaves, stems really fast. Now the next thing we're going to do is take the stems and glue them to the pumpkins. I found that the easiest way to do it was just a little dot of glue, the smallest little dot. You hardly need anything on the stems. And then bring the pumpkin to that dot of glue. Now you've got a pumpkin with a stem. And we want dimensional adhesive on the bird and the leaves. I'm going to use my mini Stampin' Dimensionals here. If you're doing the Stampa stack, of course you're doing one of these for each of the design of this design, but if you're really doing an efficient Stampa stack, you're doing all the pumpkins that you need for the whole set at one time. We've got a little bit more stamping to do, so let's grab the 5 1/4 by 4 liner for our card, and we're going to bring back the Stampin' Pierce mat and a couple of Stampin' pads. I love the inside of this card. This is my favorite of the insides. I can't wait to show you. I've got Cinnamon Cider, Tuxedo Black, Crumb Cake ink, and I have one leaf that we've already punched for each card that has been stamped in Old Olive. I've got You're the Pick of the Patch for the outside greeting. Let's grab our little gray tag and do that one while we've got our Tuxedo Black ink. We're just going to put this a little bit low of center for that fun little D tag enforcer that we're going to add on there. We want it just a little bit low of center. So outside, You're the Pick of the Patch. Inside, we're going to do Thanks So Much. And we're going to put it down low and to the right and the inside of our liner. Next, this is my favorite part. We're going to take that little crooked neck pumpkin and copper clay ink. I'm going to stamp that right on the inside of the card. Look at how cute it is. And we're going to add a stem and a leaf and really just make it kind of special. Now you could, if you want to, just ink your leaf in Old Olive ink and stamp right on the inside of the card. But I liked the little punch out one. It's so easy to do. It just takes a little scrap of white and it gives that perspective, that leaf dimension without any bulk for the inside. So that's how I decided to do all my leaves on the inside. So there's the inside of our card. And let's get our cards back in here now. I'm going to slide aside and start by gluing the liner inside the card. And then we'll go ahead and adhere. All right, then the little D enforcer. Let's go ahead and adhere that to our tag. That'll give it a second to dry while we work on the front of the card. Make it a little bit easier to add the ribbon treatment to. It's a little tiny strip of liquid glue at the bottom of that D enforcer, and then add it to the tag. Let that dry. While that dries, you've got your pieces from your Wonder recipe. Let's get those glued to the front of the cards. Before I adhere the Designer Series paper, we're going to add this little pop of color. Just a little strip of liquid glue. And then we're going to lay our Starry Sky pattern right over top, the little peak of the pumpkin pie showing. And I'm going to take the bat pattern, the one that's in the middle, add some glue, and I'm going to pop it on. A little bit high and center. And we can do these other two. And you'll notice that all these pieces are just a little bit high of center because now we're going to come in with a circle. We punch this one with the 2 3/8 inch circle punch. We're going to add that to the card with a little liquid glue. Now our pumpkins. And we'll give them a fun little angle. Cute. Then our leaves. And our cute little bird. You can do both of the cards at one time. Get them to that. Now we're going to do our ribbon treatment for Pick of the Patch. We're going to do it like we've done in the first two cards. Fold your ribbon and then lay it on the center of the twine. Tie your twine around your ribbon so that it secures a loop at the top. We're going to tie a nice tight knot. Then we're going to go through the loop. I'm using the right side and through that little D-ring. And we're going to tie a bow. And you want this so that your tag kind of lands in a horizontal and your ribbon in a vertical position. You're going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals to keep this in place before you finish the card. But there's our little tag with ribbon treatment. I love the edges of the mini Stampin' Dimensionals here. We're going to get a nice chunk, put it on the back of the tag here, and then we can put the ribbon. Looks great. Let's trim the tails. I need some ribbon scissors. Give that twine a little trim, and we're going to get another chunk of our dimensional. I'm gonna go kind of generous here on the tag, and then a couple of mini glue dots here or a little bit of tear and tape will help secure this ribbon to the card. Maybe one because nobody likes a saggy middle. Now I got a little tag for each card. Can release the liner on your adhesives, and they're just pick and stick now. I really love the creative use here of this clipped corner rectangle combined with the little D shape enforcer from the tailor-made tags. I hope that you'll use that in your designs. Add our greetings to the card. I like to, once the greeting and the ribbon is attached to the card, especially with this in color woven ribbon, I like to just give it a little haircut once we're done handling it, because it is a little bit shreddy, but it sure is pretty for fall, so we'll give it a haircut now that it's on the card. And what card is complete without a little bit of sparkle, right? So we've already used the champagne and the black gems. This time we're going to use these silvery white ones. You can do 2 if you like, or 5. You're going to get a half pack, so there's plenty for your cards. Just mix and match the colors and the sizes. I'm going to do 5 on each. I can't help it. I like the sparkle. especially like the white sparkle on this one because we've got lots of open black spaces on the card base, and the contrast is really nice. It looks like stars in a midnight sky, don't you think? All right, there is design number 3 in the Pick of the Patch Stampa Stack. Check out the links below for the video design number 2 and number 1. If you've got any questions, email us at staycrafty@kitchentablestamper.com. To check for class packets, buzz over to kitchentablestamper.com/shop and sort using the filter on the right hand side or the bottom of your device for class packets. We'll see if we've got any of these left in stock. We'll have them while supplies last. And to shop Stampin' Up! 24/7, buzz over to marisaalvarez.stampinup.net. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.